So good morning, everyone. Once again, my name, as I said before, is Niklas Forgor. I have the pleasure to be head of department at the University of Vienna. The name of the department is the Department of Innovation and Digitalisation in Law, which is part of the Law School of the University of Vienna. I may briefly say a few words about the department and then about the conference, and Catherine, who is the person mainly in charge of everything today. And I need to start with really warmly thanking her and many others, but primarily her for making this possible under these conditions. Catherine will then come join me with some housekeeping rules about the technical environment in which we are doing this. So the most important message here is you have a chat function, and some of you found that already. Please feel free to use this during the whole day if you want to provide spontaneous feedback. This is probably the most convenient way to do this. And please don't be afraid if you are put on mute at the moment. This is on purpose because it's a huge group of people that might join us here. We have more than 200 registered participants, and if 200 people are in the same video conference call, you know that all kinds of weird things happen. And we want to avoid this by putting everyone on mute by default, but that does not, of course, not mean that you are not allowed to speak. If you, Catherine will be more precise on this, but for me at the beginning, just briefly, if you want to speak, you will obviously have the opportunity to speak whenever you want. Some brief remarks about the department at the beginning. The department was founded in 2017 from scratch. It's the first department that was founded at this law school since at least the 90s of the 20th century, possibly even the 70s. It depends on how you count it. And the goal of this department is to be, in a way, the hub and also the avant-garde for everything which is happening on technology and law at Vienna Law School. We are at the moment roughly about 35 people, still growing very quickly, and one of the interesting aspects of this growth is that we also try, obviously, to develop new fields of research and new areas of expertise. However, the field of research and the area of expertise that we try to cover today is one of the oldest one in data protection law. So you can probably go back to the 70th of the 20th century when you start talking about personal and non-personal and pseudonymous and anonymous and anonymized data. And we chose this topic with a reason. The first reason is that it's a very traditional topic, obviously, and secondly, because still, although it's one of the oldest questions of data protection law, and although it's one of the most fundamental questions of data protection law, there is still so much unclarity, uncertainty, doubt, and differences in interpretation in this field. And we do hope that we will at least a little bit join the efforts that are taken in this field and help to bring a little bit more of light into all this gray and black areas of the law. We will not do this on our own, obviously, but we will rely very much on our speakers and on our panelists and on our fellow participants who, as I said already before, are most warmly invited to please join the debate whenever you want. The setup of the day is in a way rather traditional, but also not too traditional in the afternoon in particular. We will start with 3 invited keynote presentations. I will give you a brief overview about the 3 in a minute, then followed by a panel debate with the keynote speakers and myself. That is the more traditional morning session. The afternoon session is, in our view, a more innovative one when it comes to the setup of the day, in the sense that we try to pair a more senior and a more junior speaker in these afternoon sessions, trying to bring in the senior expertise on the one hand and the junior fresh approach and the revolutionary approach of some of the younger people in the field. And in all cases, we try to be as international, as broad, and as fundamental as possible. The end of the day is, however, a little bit different from the two other sets that I was talking about, because this is hopefully, in my view at least, also a very important highlight of this, because the closing remarks will be given by Andrea Jelinek, who is, as you know, not only the head of the Austrian Data Protection Authority, but she's also presiding the European Data Protection Board, and she will she's the one then giving us the final practical and down to the earth guidance, hopefully, on the issue that we are debating. I think I'm more or less done with what I wanted to announce at the beginning. Last thing that I want to say is when we started to plan this, we thought that it would be in presence in Vienna, obviously, and that it would be a networking event for all of us. Unfortunately, it's now, due to obvious circumstances, to be put into online, but I think we should take this as an opportunity to learn, all of us, whether and how such a conference format can also be useful in an online format. So whenever you have any feedback on what we are doing here on a technical, social, and soft side of this matter, please kindly provide us all your feedback. And very, very last remark, we are constantly hiring and we are constantly growing and we are constantly networking. So whenever you have the feeling that what we are doing here is of any interest to what you are doing, we would really love to hear from you also after this day. Thank you very much for the beginning, and I'm handing over to Catherine.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas. So welcome also from my side. So I just wanted to briefly run through some of the information about the platform we are using. So you may be acquainted with Zoom meetings, which looks quite similar, but in this version, as an attendee, your audio and camera are by default not activated. So if you do want to ask a question, please click on the raise hand feature that you should be seeing on the bottom of your screen. And this way we will be able to allow you to speak. Otherwise, if you prefer not to speak but to write your question, you can also use the Q&A chat and we will address it out loud. So in any case, if you experience any technical issue, please contact us with the direct message in the chat to ID Law, or even just send us an email. Last but not least, you're very welcome to engage with us on Twitter at IDUniVienna and other social media platforms using the hashtag IDLaw2020. So I think that's all from my side. And if you have any questions, again, please feel free to use the chat. And I will give the floor back to Nicholas to introduce our first keynote speaker.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Very much appreciated. As I don't see any urgent questions so far in the chat, I will start by introducing the speakers.